Yeah. Since 2019, we've been building mindset and purpose for real estate agents, entrepreneurs, leaders, people becoming more than they were yesterday.
Monday through Friday we rise. We win the morning, we win the mind. Faith over fear, pressure into purpose. Confidence built through the work. Something good is gonna happen to me. Something good is gonna happen to me. I don't need all the answers, I just need belief. Becoming who I'm called to be. Making impact bigger than me. God first, doubt steps back. When it gets heavy, we figure it out. You're not here by accident. You're part of the story. Stepping strong, stepping faith. Let's get your mindset right.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, good morning, everybody. Good morning to you, Bryce. He heard the intro. And Bryce is like, "Oh, what's Dad doing? Oh, he's got the show." So of course, he had to give his little wave. Good morning to y'all. Happy Figure It Out Friday today. Ethan, what up, brother? And it's driving. Say good morning in the chat. Say good morning in the chat. What up, Hunter? Man, Hunter's got that Hawaiian look today. I just get excited when I see that Hawaiian look. What up, Steven? Good morning to you, Jesse, Michelle, Kevin. Good morning, Patrina. Good morning. What up, Ryan and Brittany? Say good morning in the chat. Say good morning in the chat. Say happy Friday in the chat. Let's just have a great one today. It is a figure it out Friday type of day, all. So good morning to you all. It is I left the gym this morning. I was like, I don't have to come back here for a week. How many of you, like, right before you go on vacation, you're just like, oh, I don't have to come back here for a week? I was so excited. I finished my last set and I was like, see you later, weights. I'm going to be back next week. So I'm excited to hit the sandy beaches of Destin, Florida here in a couple days. So it's our last final vacation. My sister's back at school already. So needless to say, I'm the oldest. She's my baby. She's the baby of the family. I'm the oldest of five. And so don't you worry, Chet. I text her every single morning what I'm doing next week because she already started school and she's a teacher. And I said, Lisa, don't you worry. I'll send you some pictures while my feet are in the sand. Want to just let you know the type of love that she gave me. She gave me this emoji that looks like a middle finger, this one finger pointing that I was number one on when I was texting her. So that was very sweet of her. So, guys, we got a great show for you today. I know Craig from back in the day, and actually, I just saw his backdrop, and I was just like, I know exactly who he is now. Not that I didn't know him, but like I didn't know him, and I was just like, oh, I've watched some of his videos that he's put out on some of the things that he has done, and I'm very very excited because Brittany and Ryan work with Craig, and Brittany and Ryan are helping me with the Success Summit that we have in Fort Myers this year. And I've done a bunch of these, and what I've learned is they're freaking really hard to put on by yourself. And what you want to do is you want to surround yourself with winners. And so Brittany and Ryan, I asked them because they do this type of stuff, and they're like, "Yeah, we're all in." So then we were trying to put together speakers for the event because we want to make sure that you all are freaking like riled up and you leave over there very overwhelmed after you leave Naples. They're like, let's get Craig to speak. And he's all about mindset. And I was like, seriously? You think you would do it? I mean, would you do it? Would he? I mean, I'm in. Like, because I've heard him speak before. And when you get to hear other people come from the mindset and to go through what they went through. And he's also, I know he goes through a lot. I know he does. because he's also a New York Jets fan. And I'm a New York Jets fan. And it's been 15 years that we've seen the playoffs. So I know we have a lot of adversity and a lot of pain over the years of watching this team. And so him and I were going back and forth texting, and then we were talking this morning before the show, and we were just kind of going back and forth. So I was very excited and very appreciative that he is going to be speaking. He's actually starting us off Monday morning. So if you haven't gotten your information, if you haven't gotten your ticket yet, if you're not too sure, maybe after you listen to this guy, you'd be like, damn, I need to be around him too, because we're all obsessed and we're psychotic. But that's the only way we know how to do it. And he lives in New York City, for crying out loud. So that's a whole nother city. I lived in New York City and I was just like, man, God bless you. But he loves it up there, and I miss New York City. So now that I know I got him up there, I'm going to come see you because my sister, my daughter Brielle, we went up there for Christmas, and she's like, "Dad, when we going back up there?" I was like, "I'm not too sure yet, but now I know who we're going to see when we get up there." So, guys, I'm very excited. I am thrilled to be able to have Craig speak to us today as we get into our Figure It Out Friday, because I'm going to be probing into him. I told him some of the questions I'm going to ask, some of the things we're going to dive into. But I can't wait to have this guy not only today but for our summit later. So guys, do me a favor, put some fives in the chat, put some loves and the hearts in the chat for all my emoji people who know how to do it, and let's welcome Mr. Craig Siegel. Good morning, brother. Good morning to you.
That's a lot of build-up, brother. Thank you for the awesome intro. So pumped to be here. Look at all these awesome souls. Happy Friday, guys. Shabbat Shalom. I'm ready to get nuts with you, and no place in the world, genuinely, I'd rather be than right here with you guys.
Well, man, I appreciate it, and I know you spoke on some big stages. I always love when I look at people's resume, especially the TEDx. Those type of speakers, they bring something different. I've been around them. Their level of how they're able to relate with the audience and to be able to dive deep. You've done numerous of things. So kind of share with us. Give us a 10,000-foot overview for those that are going to be seeing you in Florida, those that want to know a little bit about you. Give us a 10,000-foot overview of who you are.
Yeah. So today, most of my world is centered around something we built called CLS. That's the brand. It's really about helping people close the gap between the life they're currently living and the life that they know they're actually capable of living. We do that
Mm.
through coaching, masterminds, live events, speaking, the podcast, different programs. But underneath it all, brother, what I'm really interested in is human potential and identity. I believe that playing small is spiritually irresponsible. And I've become convinced that most people don't actually have an information problem, especially entrepreneurs, real estate agents, and high achievers. We have more information available to us than at any point in history, actually. You could figure out how to buy real estate, build a business, lose weight, start a podcast, whatever it is, in about 5 minutes now on AI or the internet. The bigger issue is, who are you being while you're pursuing it? Are you operating from fear or possibility? Are you making decisions based on where you've been or where you're being called to go? Are you building the business you genuinely desire or the business you think you're supposed to want? And I spent 13 years on Wall Street. I started to become very misaligned, even though I had my own company and I was making a lot of money. And this was always tugging at my soul. And I know you feel that similar tug, whereas to really help people tap into more of their own potential. And when you're connected and bring a little bit of spirituality into it, there's nothing off the table. And even deeper than that, for all of us on the call here today, and just a show of hands, so all of you have a big desire in you. Imagine you guys do, probably full house there. I don't believe that that desire is there to be admired. Like I said earlier, I believe there's a certain responsibility that's attached to it. And the deeper I've gone into my own spiritual work, the more I've developed this belief that playing small is canceled. Playing small is spiritually responsible. And by the way, guys, I don't mean that everybody needs to build a billion-dollar company or have millions of followers. That's not what playing big means to me. I believe every person has certain gifts, certain desires, ideas, and capacities that were placed inside them for a reason. It's not for your own personal fulfillment. And if something meaningful keeps tugging at you, if there's a book you're supposed to write or a big real estate business you're supposed to build, a conversation you're supposed to have, a family you want to be more present for, I don't think that desire was given by accident. I believe it's an invitation, guys. So one of the things I'm most pumped about is helping people identify what that purpose and desire is and bring it to the world in a big way.
I love it, man. I love it. It's funny. So Craig doesn't know our little secret that we have, not a secret, but when I read, so the big joke around here is like I always tell people, I always tell people, Craig, like put a five in the chat, put a five in the chat. So like that, everybody who's on here always makes fun of me because that's our big thing when we're engaging with people and we're having conversations. So I was kind of chuckling to myself. But you said two things before I get into my infamous question. And it's so funny. I think God aligns us up so strategically on conversations because you weren't on earlier this week and you said the word gap. And one of the books that I promoted or shared today was this week was The Gap and the Gain. And
Great
where
one.
are you spending your time? Are you spending it more in the gap? Are you working on closing the gap? And so when you said that, I was just like, wow, how ironic is that? That's what he talks about. And that's what you focus on is closing that gap and helping people. And then the other word you said was being.
And
Who are you becoming? What is the Jim Rohn says it all the time. It's not the $1 million you make. It's the person you become to get to wherever it is that you want to become or whatever it is that your goal is. And so I found those two words. I was like, listen, when I listen in, it's just like you'll say like a word or two, and I'm like, it just triggers so much in my mind on what you bring. And I just love that intentionality that you have. Now, obviously, Craig, you didn't wake up one day and you were just like, you know what? I think I'm just going to go buy this high rise in New York City overlooking the East River. And this is, oh boy, look at all this, look at all these opportunities and money and fame and all this stuff. It didn't happen overnight. And the main part of this show is the figuring out parts. Share with us a moment, a defining moment in your life where you're like, shit, man, I gotta figure this out. And this is not an overnight project. Where would one of those moments be that you'd like to share with us today?
yeah, it's a beautiful question, brother. And I want to acknowledge what you said because I know a lot of people are saying, how do I do more? How do I do more? I think the deeper question is, who do I need to become to responsibly hold more? So I love that you brought that up. And the only other thing I wanted to say is I know we're speaking this morning, and we already discovered that we share the emotional trauma of being Jets fans. So I love that we already have that strong foundation. But all kidding aside, I just want to say this, guys. I love the premise of this community because every meaningful chapter of my life has required me to figure something out before I felt fully ready. So a defining moment for me, um, I think the first defining moment came when I had a life that looked successful from the outside. I was making money, I was working in finance, living in New York City, and probably I would say checking most of the boxes society tells you that you're supposed to check. But internally, something was totally off, something was missing. I had achieved a version of success that made sense intellectually, but it no longer felt aligned spiritually or emotionally. And many of you guys would know if you ever had an injury or physical pain, sucks, but emotional and spiritual pain is the most deadly. I was dying towards the end of my Wall Street career. I just felt like I was suffocating because I was the right seed in the wrong soil. And I felt like in that particular environment, I could no longer
Whoa,
grow.
say that again. Say that again. I
I
love
was,
that line.
I was the right seed in the wrong soil.
Mm.
And as a result, in that particular environment, I felt like I could no longer grow. And by the way, that's a very confusing place to be because when your life looks good from the outside, you almost feel guilty admitting that it doesn't feel good on the inside. And by the way, people in real estate understand this, right? So a property can have beautiful finishes, a great address, unbelievable curb appeal. But if the foundation is compromised, eventually everything built on top of it becomes unstable. And I realized I had spent years renovating the exterior of my life without actually inspecting the foundation. So I think the lesson from that is that achievement cannot compensate for misalignment. It can only distract you from it temporarily. And I had to stop asking, how do I become more successful in the life I already built? And I started asking a different question. Who am I being called to become now? And you shared with me, we spoke briefly this morning, you had a pretty big moment maybe 10 years ago. And that question for me changed everything, right? So I think towards the end of my Wall Street career, realizing that I was no longer in an environment that contributed to my growth. In fact, it felt like my soul was contracting every day. And then having this desire to step into a whole new world, build CLS in a relatively crowded and oversaturated space with no experience in this, no online presence, nothing. That was a big moment where I really had to figure something out.
Yeah, I loved your line. You will one is I like the you right seed in the wrong soil. Talk about environment. Steve Harvey talks a lot about the seed, so does Jim Rome. But there was a line that you said that really resonated with me, and I'm going to repeat it. So those taking notes, you are renovating your outside without focusing on your foundation. Now, I don't remember it verbatim, but
You said
like
it
when I
beautifully.
heard that, renovating the outside. How many times do I see homes, right? How many times do we see people, this facade, we put it on Facebook. Look at me, look what I got going on, blah, 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 blah. Yet on the inside, it's a shit show. On the inside, it's a freaking, there's stuff that we got everywhere. It's kind of like when we talk about the garage, right? We talk about having the garage, you know, close the garage door. Don't let anybody in the garage. We don't want them to see how messy it is. Just put it in there. Just put it quick. We don't want, because the garage door looks nice. But we don't want people to open up that garage door to see what's on the inside. So renovating your outside without focusing on your foundation, I was just like, I put some stars around that one. So as you're going through this, Craig, like how did that transition? It wasn't overnight. Like what was that process like? Like how did you continue to like get up and be like, shit, this isn't really working or this is working? Like some days are high, some days are low. How did you continue to make that? Because I believe you said it was during like the COVID where it was like, this isn't, I got to make some changes. Like how was that process for you?
Yeah. So it's interesting because here's what I knew at the time. I had absolute certainty that what I was being called to do, even though I had no experience in this field, I knew that it was something meaningful. And we all had data, right? If we look at our past, the idea is to not get trapped in the past, but I knew that I'd been successful in a lot of different arenas that I didn't even necessarily love, right? I actually love personal development. There's not enough time in the day to help people to coach, to speak, to talk about this stuff. To the extent that my wife opens like, all right, Craig, can we talk about something else now? So I knew I loved this stuff. And I was willing to do whatever it took to fulfill this particular assignment because I started to feel like this is actually why I'm here. It took me 35 years to figure that out. And I was willing to do whatever. So look, business tactics are important. I don't want to dismiss that. But I think consciousness is primary. When you start building a vessel and an identity and you cultivate certainty consciousness, not certainty that everything is going to work out as you plan, but not to be too spiritual today, but certainty is confidence in your relationship with, I'll use the word creator. And I knew that this was bigger than me, this assignment. So I leaned in 100%. And there's an old story, I won't go too much into it, but when you have that type of connection, your job is to give maximum effort and to push the rock. Creator's job is to actually move the rock, right? So you
Mm.
marry the process, divorce the outcome. You unattach, you do everything that you can. Business-wise, what does that look like? For the first 3 months, I just started adding value to the world, putting out content. I didn't want anything in return. I literally just wanted to share. And once I started building a community and people were engaged and interested, then I started opening up offers and I started building the platform, so to speak. But look, in the beginning, when you start something new, there's no evidence. You don't have confidence because there's no evidence that you've been successful at this. But when you have certainty that this is the path, when you go all in, when you're unattached to how it has to come fruition, amazing things can happen because then you're connected to, as I like to say, the miraculous, right? So as human beings, we're limited. There's only so much we can do. But when we're connected to something bigger, now we're connected to endless potential and possibility, right? So when you're connected to that consciousness and you still do the work, there's nothing off limits. There's nothing that can't be accomplished. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, guys. Make no mistake about it. I mean, there were days in the beginning of the pandemic, I looked around and everybody was, pounding wine and watching the Tiger King and doing puzzles. I was getting to work. I was staying up sometimes till 2, 3 in the morning, just responding to everybody that was gracious enough to comment on one of my posts and so forth. I was filming podcasts all hours of the night in the beginning. Obviously, then you learn how to work smarter, not necessarily harder. But in the beginning, you exercise maximum effort and you bring, again, you might call it universe, quantum, divine, Jesus, whatever is good for you. But find that connection, understand why you're doing this, bring that into the conversation. I like to call it the silent partner, and then you push.
Man, let me unpack that one right there. It's so. I tell you, man, the alignment that I hear and I see people nodding their heads and like put a 5 in the chat if you're feeling something today. Put a 5 in the chat if something just triggered you in some way, in some capacity, like damn, that is me to a T. That is what I've been trying to find. Because I just think when you get to certainty, drop a 7 in the chat. If you're like, I'm struggling with my certainty, put a 7 in the chat. Be honest with yourself. Like, I'm just really, because I was just there 4 months ago. And like you said, when you have an emotional, like, I rather have a broken arm than have an emotional mindset basket case problem on my hands because with the broken arm, I know like I'm going to be healed in 4 to 6 weeks. When I got emotional problems and I got shit storms everywhere and things are going crazy, and when I pray to God and He's just like, He's not answering my prayers, I don't know when it's coming. I don't have any certainty. And so when you have absolute certainty, that's when I think you become a badass. And that's what I think happened to you. You were just like, I know what I want. I have absolute certainty now. I have a connection to my higher power. Now I just got to go all in because we say faith without works is dead. You can have all the faith in the world, but if you're not working all, guess what? You're just volunteering and going to be crying soon because you don't have the other part of it. You got to be able to work at it and understand what that's all about. And so I think and then I wrote down this, and I'll let you we'll go into our next segment here, but like, people say finding my certainty. Well, Brock, I got to find my Craig. What do I need to do to find my certainty? And then I wrote down this instead. What's my bigger? Because you were trying to like, what's my bigger question? What's my bigger thing that I'm supposed to be doing? How many of us are living small when we know that there's something else out there that we have, that there's something bigger for me? And then it becomes not only for me, but it's to help other people. Because Craig, that's what you're doing now is you're helping people beyond all across the country and having them grow. So what keeps you fired up? Like what keeps you going? Like what is that like what are you trying to figure out today in your business as success in your world and your vision of what that is that God wants you to do, whatever capacity that is for you? What's your bigger now?
Yeah. Like where's the mission going, you mean? Like where do I want
Like
to take this?
where is it that you're like what are you trying to figure out today to get to the next level that you're wanting to get to?
It's a beautiful question. So, and by the way, we never stop learning, guys. No matter how successful someone might be, and obviously we all have different definitions of success, there is always another level, right? So we built the business. I've coached incredible people. Tony Robbins hired us to coach all their coaches for the year. We have the podcast and masterminds, all that. But I really want CLS to become a place where people come to remember who they really are, reconnect to what they actually desire, and then have the courage and the tools to build a life that reflects that. So for me personally, the next chapter is expanding the reach. That's stages, bigger rooms, obviously more books, more live experiences, but not for the sake of that, right? So the bigger is this. Can we create a ripple effect where one person changes their identity, and because they change, their family changes, their business changes, their employees change, their community changes, right? I think that's what it's all about. And spiritually, I feel a responsibility to go as far as I'm capable of going with it, right? Because I don't think we're given the gifts to enjoy them privately. So my bigger now is becoming the fullest expression of what I believe I'm here to do and building something that continues to impact people way beyond me.
Expanding your reach. I love that. I love that because, Tom Brady says, going back to your knowledge and what John put in the chat here, Tom Brady says, what we know is limited. Our potential of learning more is limitless.
Uh,
And there's just so many opportunities. It's whether or not you want to do it. It's whether or not you're going to grab the next book, the next conversation. How many of us on here today? Put your phone number in the chat. For anybody who's looking to have another conversation with somebody, put your phone number in the chat if you're like, you know what, I need to connect more because he just says expanding your reach. Guys, you can't expand your reach if you're stuck in your house. If you're not willing to pick up the phone and have a conversation with somebody, put your phone number in the chat if you're like, you know what, I need to talk to some more people. I need to be able to engage more people, understand what they're doing, to be able to either help them in some capacity or maybe just have a conversation to see what they have going on in their life. And so, Craig, as you go through this and what you've been through, what's the one thing you like to leave us with today? Leave us with this audience before we come see you, or that you come see us in November. I got to get you back on the show too before we even get to November. But what's the one thing you'd like to leave us with today?
Yeah, I want to do many more things with you, brother. Thank you, by the way, for having me today. And guys, before I dive into that last question, I just want to say I love the energy that you guys are showing up with today. So kudos to you guys on a Friday. And I know that's an extension of you, Brock. So it's really powerful, really beautiful what you're building here. I love it.
Thanks,
One
man.
thing I want to leave you guys with. The one thing I want to leave you with is this. Stop waiting to feel like the person who can create the life you want. Begin behaving like that person, and your feelings will eventually catch up. You see, most
Mm.
people are waiting for confidence, waiting for permission, certainty, or some dramatic sign. But your next chapter is rarely hiding behind more info. It's usually hiding behind a decision, a conscious decision that you already know you need to make. You don't need to know exactly how the entire chapter unfolds. You just need the courage to take responsibility for the next step, not the next five, just one step. Creator will open up the rest of that. When I think about this idea of figuring it out, to me, that doesn't mean forcing, hustling, or pretending you have every answer. It means trusting that when you move in alignment, you will develop the capacity, attract the right relationships, and discover the resources that are required for the next step. So if the vision is genuinely in you guys, I believe it's there for a reason. But the vision is not only showing you what you can create, it's inviting you to become someone new. So
Mm.
in closing, guys, make the decision, lay the first brick, and then let that next version of you meet you in motion. Don't wait for permission. Get after it.
I had this visual, man, when you were saying that when you watch the races, when they're exchanging the baton, the person who's accepting the baton, the person who's running towards the person who's accepting it's not standing still. What are they doing? They have cadences that say, they say, ready, set, and that person is already running. And that's kind of the visualization of what I just said, of what you just said to me, Craig, of like that is you all, that you have an opportunity. Don't keep waiting, like just waiting around. I know it's gonna happen. No, start taking the action. Just run. And that have that your next goal, your next dream is that person waiting for you with the baton. And that's the next version of you to continue to grow. And I just got all fired up right now. So I want to do something a little different because Craig, you got me all yayed up. And everybody on here knows kind of what I do. I'm a little crazy. But I wanted to do something all that I normally do on Tuesday mornings first thing, and I want to end it the way Craig just shared because it's working through us right now. So I'm going to do the affirmation. So Jay, can you put up the affirmation? And Craig, we're gonna do a little affirmation for you here, brother. And I want everybody to come off of mute because you all know how we like to do it. Because this is what Craig really puts out there of how he wants to work through people, and we're gonna work through others today in some capacity because you all said you're willing to do it. So on the count of three, everybody come off of mute, everybody come off of mute, and let's end it on a really solid, hard Friday. On the count of three, let's all say it together. 1, 2, and 3.
Something
Something
good is
good
going to
is
Good is
happen.
going to
going to
happen
happen
to
to
me.
me.
Something
Something
good
good
is
is
going to
going
happen
to
to
happen
me.
to me. Amen.
Amen. I love it. I
Amen.
love it. Craig, how can we see you? How can we be a part of you? We're going to put your stuff in the chat here, but I know you got an event in October. Share with us a little bit where people can find you and be a part of your organization. I know you got some stuff on your website too. You can get some free texting newsletters, but share with us a little bit how people can get with you.
Yeah, I love it, brother. So, look, I really just wanted to come in today as a giver. If you guys want to, be around and get some pieces of wisdom throughout the week, we have a free texting community. I put the number in the chat. Just text it. You'll be opted in. 917-634-3796. Our podcast, the CLS Experience, we just dropped an awesome mini-sode today. It's about 8 minutes. It'll pump up your week. The CLS Experience, highly recommend. And then, yes, we have our next live event, October 15th. So we had a trilogy. We had The Portal, we had Genesis, now we have Formation. We have some amazing speakers. JJ Virgin's going to be there. I'm calling it right now. Brock's going to be there. We're going to talk about doing things. And we created a special link for you guys if that's of interest to you and want to make a trip to New York City. We created a special link just for you guys. So instead of paying what it would typically cost, we put in a special link where it's just pay what feels right for you. If not, that's totally okay too. The energy in the room is going to be electric. I think that Zooms are amazing, podcasts are great, but when you're in the room, and I know many of you guys, if not all of you, are going to be at Brock's event. I can't wait to meet you there. That's really it. I don't really have an ask. If something I said today resonated with you guys, I have confidence that you'll find a way to get connected and all that good stuff. But I just want to thank Brock for the incredible vessel and space that he's created here with you guys. The fact that you guys showed up, how engaged you are, it's beautiful. And I think this is just the beginning of all of us staying connected.
Amen. Amen. Guys, drop a 5 in the chat. If you got something today, drop a 5 in the chat in some capacity, in some way that he triggered, said a word, maybe said a statement to you. Just like, you know what, I need to be more involved with it in some capacity, some way. Craig, I appreciate you being on here. Bryce here is letting me know. See, I don't even have to have an alarm
Hey,
clock.
buddy.
Like, when I need to go, can you say
Starting
goodbye?
him young. I love your style.
Say bye. So everybody have
How
a great
old is
weekend.
he?
How old are you? How old are you? 8 years old. Well, he
Okay.
wants to be 8. He's gonna be 8 in about 12 days. So
Projecting
he's already
consciousness.
prepared. See, he's already visualizing himself. He's 8 years old.
That's so beautiful. Great to meet you, my man. What's his name?
Bryce.
Bryce, we got matching shirts, buddy. Really nice to meet you.
All right, Craig, I appreciate you being on here. Thank you all for taking time to be with us on this Friday. Guys, be safe, be healthy. We'll be back Monday morning at 8:15 Eastern time with our main man, Mr. Chet's got a story for you all like no other. So come back at 8:15 on Monday to listen to Chet. I'll be at the beach, so I'll be listening to you with the waves behind me.